Hello and welcome to Odds Serie A Matchday 25. We have Derby d'Italia, Inter, Juve. We have Derby del Sole, Napoli, Roma. We have also Lazio, Atalanta. So plenty of good games, Leo Bachanian, to enjoy this Serie A with Inter now 8 points clear from the Rossoneri.
Yes, absolutely, Edu, and we're going to have actually the Rossoneri finally playing back in the Serie A. It seems that they played a long time ago against Bologna, but all the eyes are going to be on Saturday night on that Inter Juventus. But the Napoli against Roma you mentioned as well is amazing. Lazio Atalanta should be very, very entertaining. So this match day 25, Edu, very much looking forward.
We are in February, and the only goal of Napoli is qualifying for the Champions League, also out of Coppa Italia against Como. So let's analyze everything that we have on our plate. Guys, remember to leave your tips and your comments. Very close to nail a good ACCA, Leo. It was Cremonese last goal on the Monday evening, but we are going to try again with the best tips. So let's go on now with the show. And for this Friday, 13th of February, we have Milan playing again. You mentioned it a long time ago because the game against Como was suspended because of the unveiling, the inauguration gala of the Winter Olympic Games. And the last game they played was a 3-0 in the Dallara. Pisa, unable to win. We mentioned that it was a good idea going for the goalless draw against Verona. So even if Milan slipped against the poor teams, of course, they should win here.
Yes, they should, absolutely. And against a team that has only scored 3 goals so far this season at home, even the win 2-0 is a big opportunity here for Milan. Even though, yes, we talk about many times this season how, especially playing at home, has been tricky for Allegri's team to face the bottom teams of Serie A. For Verona, it was a wasted opportunity, the 0-0 for Pisa, the 0-0 against Verona. I think when Lecce scored the winning goal on added time against Udinese, it felt a wasted chance. And also as well when Fiorentina dropped 2 points against Torino on Sunday as well, it felt that feeling for sure increased a little bit more. 6 points behind the safe zone. Weekend after weekend, the miracle seems a little bit more implausible for them. This said, they probably deserve a little bit more luck against Verona. The last 15 minutes, they were pushing a lot for the win. The Verona's goalkeeper made few good saves on those minutes, but the reality anyway is 13 games without a win, and they will host this Milan knowing what I said, that they scored only 3 goals this season at home, and it's very difficult for them. Milan, yes, the last game ages ago, but one of the best ones so far this season with that 3-0 against Bologna away from home. 𝐿𝐭𝐚𝐲 had no doubt about one of his best games with the Milan's jersey. He scored again. He's picking up a little bit of form lately. 5 goals in the last 7 games for 𝐿𝐭𝐚𝐲. Rabiot also scored 3 goals in the last 4 league games for the other French player. Actually, the both of them, 𝐿𝐭𝐚𝐲 and Rabiot, they also combined for Loftus-Cheek's 3rd goal. The good news for Allegri was not just the clean sheet for Milan, but also that they managed to win without the need of Pulisic or Leao in the score sheet. Pulisic still injured, but he's back in training, so we're gonna see if he's ready for Friday at least to make it in the bench. And Leao was not even used by Allegri against Bologna. One who is back from injury is 𝗏𝗏. And after the soap opera regarding the failed acquisition of Mateta, that is good news as well for Milan and Allegri. But the best business of the transfer window for Milan was the renewal of Mike Maignan. We talk as well a couple of shows ago that his contract was up in the air in June, that Milan maybe was going to get 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, Cagliari's goalkeeper, but in the end they renew Maignan contract, which is probably the best player so far this season for Milan, responsible of many points that this Allegri's team had so far this season. Milan odds are a good start. 1.53 are very good to start with. But my take, and I mentioned before, Milan to win 2-0, odds of 2.6.
Of course, Pisa cannot score a goal, only 19. Very, very poor. For Saturday, we have 𝐿𝐵𝐵 Fiorentina now 3 points away from Lecce once again. We thought they were going to came out from the dead, but it's going to be tough for them. The draw with Torino is not enough because Lecce won, and by the way, they have conference the following week. It's funny, Leo, that we have teams like Rayo Vallecano in relegation, Fiorentina in relegation, Mainz fighting against relegation, all of them playing conference, and the opposite mood in the north, in Como, in the lake, after the qualification for the Coppa Italia semifinals in penalty in the Maradona.
Yes, they made history at the Armando Maradona with the win on penalty, semi-final of Coppa Italia. They're going to face Inter. It's going to be a tough one for Como, but anyway, another step into an amazing season for Fabregas' team. Nico Paz played 80 minutes last night. It wasn't a great game from him. There was a penalty in the first half, and he did not take it. It was Baturina, and he scored. And I'm saying that he did not take it because let's remember, Como's last game in Serie A also seems ages ago, and it was against Atalanta. And in that game, Nico Paz missed a penalty in the 94th minute, and yesterday he did not take the penalty against Napoli. At the beginning of the season, we could have thought about this fixture as a European spots contenders match, but there is only one European contender here, and Laviola having to win to leave the drop zone. A win will take them out of the relegation because they have a better goal difference than Lecce. The 2-2 with Torino was meant to be a win, but they dropped 2 points in the 94th minute. Disappointment even bigger, as you said, because of Lecce's win against Udinese. Manuel Salomon scoring his for the second game in a row. 𝐿𝐵𝐵 𝐾𝐿 getting his 6th goal of the season with the assist of Jack Harrison, the ex-Leeds and Everton player, his first one with the Laviola t-shirt. 𝐾𝐿 was back in the starting 11 after 3 games. He's been struggling with this season with an ankle injury and also with family issues. With Torino, it was not the first time they dropped points on added time. It happened with Lazio in the capital 4 weeks ago. It happened in the defeat with Como as well in the reverse fixture in Firenze. They conceded as well the 2-2 after a set piece. Actually, 10 goals of the 38 goals conceded so far by Fiorentina have been set pieces. There is for sure an issue there with concentration. The last time they faced each other, Como and Fiorentina, it was in Coppa Italia in the last 16, and Como won comfortably from behind 3-1. Como lost only one home game all year, or since March last year. That was against Milan this season. Just 7 goals conceded so far at the lake by Como, and Fiorentina only 1 win on the road. However, 4 of the last 5 games of Fiorentina away have all been goals over 2.5, and 2 of those 4 have been goals over 3.5. And Como at home do 20 goals scored. Just Juventus and Inter scored more than them at home. So I'm taking the goals root market here. Goals over 2.5, odds of 1.85.
Okay, our smart bet tool actually is going for under 3.5 goals, 1.4. So, well, if there are 3 goals, you both are right. But it's going for the opposite. Anyway, it pays very little actually going for under 3.5 goals. I think is better going your way. And another great game. We have a good Saturday in Italy. Is Lazio Atalanta. Atalanta very close to the European spots, 2 points less than Como, and they were able on Monday to beat Cremonese, challenging for Europe, as I said, alive in Coppa Italia, and the following week they are playing Dortmund, one of the best ties we have in these Champions League playoffs. Really informed. Leo in Serie A, 5 wins and 2 draws. Kind of the opposite as Lazio, but they were able to get a draw with Juve, beat Genoa before that, and also with plenty of goals, something that is an oddity with this Lazio, because the whole season we were saying that is the worst team to bet on goals, on both teams to score, but again, plenty of goals in the last 2 games.
Yes, and that is changing, it seems. And also, at the moment when they are without a proper certain striker, because they sold Tati Castellanos to West Ham, but they look a little bit more lively in attack lately, although we have to say that when they were 2-0 up against Juventus, it was a little bit against the run of play. They had chances to kill the game as well, but they couldn't take it. Even when Juventus managed to make it 1-2, in the last 10 minutes, Lazio had as well 2 or 3 chances to make it 3-1, and then in the end they conceded for the 2-2, which being up 2-0, it may seem like a missed opportunity, but I think before the game, Sarri and Lazio will have signed a draw in Turin against Juventus. I think all in all, it was an encouraging performance from them. It was good to see 𝐜𝐴ZZ𝐧𝐬𝐿 in good level, and he scored. He was one of the players who wanted to leave, but in the end he stayed. Matteo Cancellieri and Romagnoli, who pushed for an exit in January, were both in the bench, but they had chances of starting against Atalanta because Lazio left Turin with 1 point and 3 injured players. The centre backs 𝗵𝗺 and Mario Gila, and also 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗀 in midfield. So I think there are chances of seeing Cancellieri and Romagnoli starting the game against Atalanta. Pedro scoring for the 2nd consecutive game. Daniel Maldini led the attack and had a relatively good game, but he can't score. That's the reality. His last goal in Serie A was in May 2025, the last day of the season, when Atalanta lost 3-2 at home with Parma, and Maldini scored a brace. Atalanta, on the other hand, should have won for a greater margin against Cremonese. They had a VAR goal disallowed 3 minutes before Cremonese made it 2-1 in the 94th minute. Palladino this time rested 𝐻𝐿, started 𝗀𝗏𝗀, who scored his 7th goal of the season and his 5th in the last 6 games for him in Serie A, the ex-Lecce striker. This year he also netted against Athletic Bilbao in the Champions League. So if he gets into double figures, I think Atalanta can feel satisfied with the 20 million they paid Lecce for him. Raspadori, another chance to start, and he did not disappoint. There was a good understanding between him and Samardžić behind 𝗀𝗏𝗀. I'm telling the win on Monday because Palladino took the team. I'm saying we could take the win on Monday to see how far Palladino has taken this team, because Atalanta was 13 when he arrived, and they were just 1 point above Cremonese on that time, and today they are 7th in Coppa Italia semi-final and in the Champions League playoff. My take here, Edu, and I is considering what's going on with Lazio lately, the revival, a bit more lively team. Atalanta is doing well, always scoring goals. Both teams to score, yes. Combined with goals over 2.5. These two together, odds of 4. Otherwise, you can take them guys separately, both teams to score yes or goals over 2.5. But I'm going to go for these two together, and the odds are very good of 4.
Okay, Atalanta favorite 2.2, 6 points more than Lazio. Important for the European positions. And then we have the Derby d'Italia, Inter, Juventus. Inter going steadily towards the title. The run is amazing. They beat Sassuolo 5-0 after beating Cremonese 2-0. Before was 6-2. With Pisa, they are just winning. It's important because they are playing Bodo Glimt next week in the Champions League. Juventus also in the Champions League playing Galatasaray. And in the first leg, Leo, we saw a crazy 4-3. Juventus won. We have this thing saying the whole season that Inter are not winning the big games, the important games. Of course, this is an important game. How do you see it? Not sure if they are going to pay more attention for the Champions League than to this game in Serie A, but of course it's always heated rivalry and these teams hate each other, but much more on stake in the following week than on Saturday, in my opinion, and taking a look at the standings.
Yes, and that is even for both of them, because Inter, of course, at the top, 8 points gap with Milan, although with one more game played for 𝐬𝐭𝐴's team. But Juventus know as well that Roma needs to travel to the 𝐸 Armando Maradona, so it's not like the fourth spot is for sure at risk this weekend, and there's still a long way to go, and for them it's very important to make it to the last 16 to the Champions League because of financial reasons. So I know 2 of the last 3 games between Inter and Juventus have been goal thrillers, the 4-4 in San Siro, the 4-3 in the reverse fixture this season, but this time I think 𝐬𝐭 is different. I think we're going back to the under goals in this Inter Juventus. Inter season is amazing so far in Serie A, 𝐬𝐭. But of course, yes, the question mark remains: Inter winning under 𝐬𝐭 a big game, and it's not just under 𝐬𝐭, because they still need to win a big game against direct rivals, something which comes from Inzaghi's era too. Inter have not won any of their last, listen to this number, 14 matches against Milan, Juve, or Napoli. They are still, of course, we're running for 3 titles this season, qualified for Coppa Italia semi-final, Champions League playoff, as you mentioned, and of course the candidate in this Scudetto, but no one is talking about any troubles in Inter after what happened last season, when there was a talk of a quadruple, and in the end, not a single title in sight for Inter. The last time they won the Scudetto, in 2023-2024, they did it with 95 points. This time, if Inter wins all the remaining games, they will reach 100 points, which is not going to happen, of course. So the Scudetto is more likely to be won around 80-85 points this time, I believe. Against Sassuolo, they were unstoppable, of course. 5 goals and 5 different players on the score sheet. Bisek, Thuram, Lautaro Martinez, 14 goals this season for him. Akanji and Luis Enrique, Di Marco providing 3 assists for the 5 goals. He has already 11 assists in Serie A this season. The record is for Papu Gomis in 2019-2020 with 16 assists. So Di Marco has a great chance there to make it a little bit of history in Serie A. Inter strong in the air against Sassuolo, but Juventus is also strong in the air, as we have seen with Bremer, Kalulu, McKennie. Well, these last 2 scoring with a header against Lazio. Openda with a header could have won it as well for Lazio, for Juventus against Lazio. But I think with the game having trailed the 2-0 in the second half, it wasn't too bad as well for them. Although then on Monday night, with the Roma's winning against Cagliari, they reached the same level than Juventus. There is money for those who believe this game is going to repeat a goal feast. Goals over 3.5, odds of 3.6. But my take this time, as I said, is the goals under 2.5, odds of 1.81.
Actually, our smart bet tool is going for over 3.5 goals, 3.6, really high odds. If we see again plenty of goals, the last 2 games won by Juventus in the head-to-head, and no wins for Inter in the last 3. You mentioned also the head-to-head with the big teams, but even if in the last 9 years we can agree that Inter has been the best team among these 2. 6 wins for Inter, 6 draws, and 10 wins for Juventus. So in the head-to-head, Juventus are doing pretty well. Great game, Derby d'Italia, with plenty of things going on in the capital of the Lombardia. more important, I think, for the morale, thinking in the Champions League. Remember, Inter going to Norway to visit Bodo Glimt, and Juventus playing against Galatasaray, 3 Italian teams in the round of playoffs of the Champions League. And then for Sunday, an interesting Udinese Sassuolo, because both teams are in the middle of the table, because both teams are far away from the bottom 3. Udinese, after beating Roma and Verona, lost to Lecce, and Sassuolo got smashed by Inter.
Yes, Edu, and I mentioned last show about Udinese doing Udinese things against Roma by getting the 3 points. And Udinese doing Udinese things, losing out of context against Lecce on the weekend. A team that will turn up in big games and occasionally at home. They lost the game in Puglia when they were already packing with a point. It was far from actually from being a great match to watch. 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝐻 spoke of his team doing better at home than on the road, and that Sassuolo presents the opportunity to do that. They certainly missed Kenan Davis in attack. 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝐻 chose Bayo because to lead the line, because Nicolo Zaniolo had little training after his injury. This team needs someone like Nicolo Zaniolo, to sparkle something different in attack. At home, it's 4 wins in the last 9 for Udinese. Sassuolo is still 11 points from the red zone. No problems in that regard, despite the thrashing of Inter. On the road, they won the last match, and that was against Pisa. And this time, a win could even take them level on points with Udinese. For me here, Edu, the value is in the draw. Sassuolo needs to reset after a heavy defeat. Udinese lacks weight in attack without Kenan Davis, and this is not the big game for them. Also, Zaniolo is not 100% fit. So my take here is that a draw, Edu, 3.1.
Cremonese Genoa is the next one. Both have 23 points, 5 points away from Fiorentina, and we have Cremonese falling in the table. Is 3 points out of the last 10 games, 7 defeats, 3 draws. And Genoa, plenty of goals. Leo, they were very close to get something against Napoli. Just Højlund scored in the very last minute, but we saw the last 3 games 3-2 in all of them. Napoli, Lazio, and Bologna.
And the last 2 3-2s were defeats for them, Lazio and Napoli, and both deep on added time. It's just incredible what's going on with Genoa. 10 goals scored in the last 4 games, which is great for a team fighting to avoid the relegation, but they have conceded 8 in the last 3. Yes, very unlucky, because as well at the same time, because with Napoli, the penalty that they was awarded to Højlund, the chance to win it in the 95th minute, should have never been awarded. I mean, VAR, okay, we speak this, I believe, and you talk about this as well in other leagues with the guys, but it's just, it was meant to be for the clear and obvious, and now it's just a little bit ridiculous what they are doing, and in Serie A, probably even more than in other leagues. That penalty should have never been awarded during the game against Genoa. So I understand the Rossi, his frustration, the football he used to play no longer exists. And he said even that he doesn't even know which sport he's coaching at the moment with VAR. After 5 games unbeaten, Genoa, yes, now 2 games lost in a row, and in similar fashion. The first 2 things you need to fight, you need to stay in Serie A, I think, is to have courage and heart, and this team has both in big percentage, this Genoa. Someone wrote on X that if the penalty was the other way around, Conte would have demanded an apology, and probably it's true. In the last 10 as well for them. With Atalanta, you had finished at least 3-0. The last 3 6-pointers for Cremonese have been defeats with Sassuolo and Fiorentina, draws with Verona and Cagliari. The last win in Serie A for them has been a 6-pointer, 2-0 against Lecce in December. But now there is no way for me at the moment to trust Cremonese, and I have been impressed with Genoa even on defeat. My take, Genoa to win 2.5.
And we keep talking about the relegation zone. Parma, Verona, bottom of the table because they weren't able to score and to beat Pisa, goalless draw, only 18 goals this season going to the B, to Serie B, and this is an important game for Parma because they are 8 points from Fiorentina. If they win here, Leo is going to be almost done after winning the derby in the Dallara against Bologna.
Yeah, it was massive, the 1-0 against Bologna away from home, Edu. Someone could say, yes, they took advantage of being reduced that Bologna was reduced to 10 after only 20 minutes, but the winning goal came when they were already 10 against 10 because Troilo, the Argentinian centre-back, was on top with 11 minutes to play and with the match 0-0. In Parma, I do see similarities with Genoa in terms of spirit. There is heart there. You can see there is as well a togetherness when you look at them playing. It's true that 11 against 10, Parma did not manage to create chances in attack. They were moving their ball slowly, but for a relegation battling team, when the opposition is sitting deep, as it happened to Bologna, because they were playing with one man down, it becomes very difficult because they don't have the players with the quality, I think, to shake things with by winning a duel on the wing. So it made sense for me that they found the goal once Bologna started to play more in Parma's half. It was the third win in the last 9 for Carlos Cuesta's team. Verona, Matchday 24th, a missed chance with that 0-0 against Pisa. For them, it's 6 defeats and 3 draws in the last 9. Their only win away this season was a 6-pointer in Firenze. But if I could not trust Cremonese against Genoa, I won't trust Verona against Parma. For Verona, 7 goals scored on the road, and Parma 8 goals scored at home only. So my take here is for the under, Edu, or actually I will take 2 options here. The goals under 2, odds of 1.96, or a draw, odds of 3. Those are my 2 takes for this game.
And now we go to Torino, Bologna, another kind of uninteresting game, Leo, because both are in the middle of the table. Really poor Bologna. We are seeing Bologna
crazy
in the worst form in years. 4 consecutive defeats to Parma, Milan, Genoa, and Fiorentina, although they are still favorites for this game.
Yes, and it's like the question when this run, the bad run, is going to stop for Bologna. 1 win in the last 11 is already bad. 8 defeats since December and 4 consecutive defeats are very, very bad. And the fact that you mentioned the teams, 3 of those 4 defeats have been against relegation battling teams. It's terrible for Vincenzo Italiano's team. And also with Parma, it meant to lose the derby. But they are still anyway 3 points ahead of Torino, which as well tells us a lot about Torino. For Bologna to balance Coppa Italia, Europa League, and Supercoppa Italiana is providing, is proving to be very, very difficult, which is strange, because a little strange at least, because last season they had Champions League instead of Europa League. Okay, they did not play the Supercoppa Italiana, but it's not a huge difference in terms of games played, and it was a massive season, last one. So yes, we will see when this is going to stop. Some are saying, now questioning if Vincenzo Italiano is going to see the end of the season if they continue with this run. Because in December they defeated Bologna. They won 3-0 away against Udinese, and they almost touched the sky on that time. They were 5th, 3 points from the top, and now what can go wrong goes even worse for Bologna. And Torino, they rescue a point in Firenze. They could have even gone 2-0 at some point, but the second half wasn't good from the Granata. At least there was some determination to fight or to get that 2-2. A game that came after Coppa Italia in San Siro for Torino. They played 6 games in 21 days, something that they're not very used to. So now for this game, they do have 1 week to prepare. They will have Nikola Vlasic back after suspension. Vlasic is replaceable for Marco Baroni. The last 7 at home for the Granata shows 5 defeats and 2 wins. And the last one on Matchday 23 against Lecce was a win for them. Bologna on the road has very good goal scoring record. Only Inter and Juventus have scored more than Bologna's 20 away from home. But Torino at home has at least have scored 1 goal in 9 of their last 10 games. That's why Maite here do both teams to score.
Let's go to the next game, Derby del Sole, in this case, Napoli. Yeah. Roma, both teams fighting to get into the top 4. As we mentioned before, Napoli also out of Coppa Italia after losing in penalties against Como. It went viral, the penalty from 𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐵𝐻. 3 points only between these two teams. Napoli can consider themselves also lucky, as you mentioned, to get the 3 points against Genoa, and even before that against Fiorentina. So they are not good at the moment, and Roma beat Cagliari 2-0 after the defeat in Udine. How do you see this very good game? Napoli beat Roma, by the way, this season at the Olimpico in a very close game. Could have been easily a draw, that one.
Yes, and it's a tough time for Napoli once again. With Genoa, not only they got lucky, but more injury problems. Scott McTominay, Edu, and that could be huge. He had a problem in his thigh. He had to be preserved against Como. We don't know yet if he will be part of this game. For sure, they're going to push him, as it has been the case with McTominay the whole season, because he has this problem in his thigh since the start, since last August. And Conte was saying that they cannot rest him because of the schedule, because of all the other injuries that this team has. And but now they need it. They need to do against Como, and we're gonna see if he plays or not against Roma. Vergara scored the 1-1 last night that took Napoli to the penalties against Como. 3rd consecutive game in all competitions for him scoring. Lukaku had the chance to finish the game. He played the last 15 minutes, but then missed his penalty in the shootout. Another Napoli striker, Lorenzo Luca, who could only score 1 goal in 16 games for Napoli, already has 1 for Nottingham Forest after only 1 game in the Premier League. So it's troubles ahead for this team. The injury crisis is absurd, because it wasn't just McTominay against Genoa. Also, they had the red card of Juan Jesus. So we're gonna see how even they play the back three this time against Roma, Antonio Conte. And Roma is in a sharp contrast in terms of availability, at least. They have added players in January. Milan scored a brace against Cagliari, 3 goals in the last 4 matches for him since arriving to the capital. Brian Zaragoza had a good debut, and he showed he's good on the ball, but physically he could suffer a lot. Sometimes he was pushed to the floor too easy by Cagliari players. Malen goals, I think, showed all he can do, because the first one was a great run to the space, showing all his mobility and then chipping the ball with great quality. The second one was just pure instinct, striker instinct, running exactly in between 3 players to where 𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐵𝐻 was crossing the ball. He's on loan from Aston Villa, but his option is going to become mandatory if Roma qualifies to any European competition, and that should be the case for sure for this team, who is, of course, anyway, with the eyes on Champions League qualification. The first half against Cagliari was very good. Edu, high tempo, creating chances, suffocating Cagliari with the press, man marking all the pitch. Napoli undefeated, yes, at home this season in Serie A, and they won the last 3. But Roma, the best defense in the league as well. I think the Giallorossi has an opportunity here with Juventus traveling to San Siro, and the chance of recovering that 4th spot in solitary for them. So I'm looking at the double chance, Roma double chance, Edu. Roma double chance, 1.62.
All right, we are not seeing many goals in the last 3 encounters between these two teams. 1-0 for Napoli, 1-1, and 1-0 for Napoli. And we have to go back a little bit to see Roma winning these kind of games, and even more to see Roma winning in the Maradona. We have to go until, let me check it, this was 2018.
Yeah, just scroll.
3rd of March 2018 to see Roma winning at the Maradona was 2-4 at that time. So indeed, time to get something out of there. Only one draw, by the way, for Roma this season. And for Monday, we have Cagliari Lecce for the relegation. Lecce now 3 points away from Fiorentina, thanks to the key win against Udinese. And Cagliari, Leo, lost to Roma, but they were in a good run before of that. Verona, Fiorentina, Juventus, actually good odds if we back Cagliari here, 2.28.
Those 3 consecutive wins, and Lecce is at the back of one of the most important wins for them this season, that 2-1 against Udinese in the 90th minute. It was only the 3rd time this season they scored 2 goals at home, and they're still for sure celebrating that Banda's free kick on added time. Actually, lots of goals on added time last match day, which had even greater value with Torino snatching a draw in Firenze. Cagliari has based their season so far mostly on their home performances. They are 10th in that table, and they have scored 15 goals, which is 1 short of what Roma, for instance, managed at the ◵𝐵𝐵𝐴, for example. In Sardinia, they won 2 of the last 3, and they have conceded just once in those 3 games. The positive aspect, I think, for Cagliari on Monday night was that Alberto Dosena was back to the starting lineup for the first time since March 2025, when he broke his ACL. He had to deal with Milan, but considering that that prolonged inactivity, I think it wasn't too bad for him. For Cagliari, again, the best player was Palestra on the right wing back position. He will be called by Gattuso to play the World Cup playoff for the Nazionale. And Lecce Edu 6 goals scored away this season only. So yes, the odds on Cagliari to win are good. I could take them, but I'm going to take a little bit more conservative approach. Both teams to score no for this one, odds of 1.62.
All right, this is it for this weekend in Italy. One of the best of the year, Derby d'Italia, Napoli, Roma, also Lazio, Atalanta. So time to post your tips also in Oddspedia. We have our tipster competitions going on and the opportunity to make some money, and also, of course, check out Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. Leo, your safe bet?
Milan to win, 1.53.
And your ACCA?
Milan to win combined with goals over 1.5. Cremonese Genoa, goals over 1.5. Lazio Atalanta, both seem to score yes. These 3 together, odds of 5.67.
Thank you, Leo. See you next week. Bye-bye.